Hello everyone and welcome to my video on a year without a winter. If you're thinking to yourself, is this actually correct? I would have to say yes. I currently live in the eastern part of West Virginia. I've been here since about 2000, 2001. Prior to that, I lived on the more eastern part of Maryland. But to explain why we're having such, or what I'm talking about, a year without winter, let me explain what a normal, typical winter in the eastern part of West Virginia would be like. Normally, our summers kind of go until, I would say, Halloween. Around the week of Halloween, the temperatures really start to dip. We have the highs of maybe 50s, and we'll be starting to dip in the 40s as well as the high. But the evenings, we normally start dipping into the 30s, which is the below, actually the freezing temperature, below 33 degrees. So we'd have a shift where the ground would warm up, then it would freeze at night. So it's kind of like the grounds of preparing for winter. What a lot of people don't realize is, even though it might snow a day, the ground has to be at a freezing temperature for a consistent amount of time, really for the snow or the precipitation, the freezing precipitation, to really stick for long periods of time. But normally during the week of October, of Halloween in October, that's when our winter temperatures, I should say, start to come in effect, or we start migrating towards that. So the entire month of November, by the time we get to Thanksgiving, we'll have highs in the 40s. And then by the time we get to December, we'll have 40s and we'll start dipping into the 30s. Usually December is the month where we'll start getting like light flurries, small precipitation of snow. There's been times that, yes, this can occur quicker, where around Thanksgiving time we would have highs in the 30s and we'd have winter precipitation as well. January and February, which now we are in February, those are the worst months. Our best high temperature would be probably about just at or above freezing, like 34, 35 degrees, with lows in the teens and even below zero. So the worst temperature time for our season normally is January and February, and sometimes it'll bleed a little bit into March. Anytime we have any precip, whatever we have during the January, February time frames, will all be snow. November, December, because the temperatures are just getting at that freezing point, that's where we'll start having maybe some, I said we'd have some late showers, but we also could have ice storms as well. But January and February, and if we have anything in March normally, it is definitely snow. When we get our blizzards, most of the time during January, February time frame. There has been times in the past that we have gotten blizzards, and the last time we had a blizzard in December was during the winter. And I remember this clearly because Vancouver was having a very warm spell, and they were having problems with snow during the Winter Olympics in Vancouver. And at that time, we had 3 blizzards hit us. We had one blizzard hit us one week, and we had 20-something inches of snow. The following week, we had 2 blizzards back to back, and we had, I think, anywhere between 70 to about 80 inches or 90 inches of snow between those 2 storms. So we had over 100 inches of snow, or close to 100 inches of snow, in 2 weeks. And that was an anomaly, because we've never had, at least as long as I've lived here, we've never had a storm, 3 winter blizzards in 2 weeks with that amount of snow in that short of time frame. And that was a historic record in this time. And I remember that was, like I said, that was during the Vancouver Olympics, when they weren't getting anything. It was warm temperature, and they were having difficulties keeping the snow packed up there because of the warm temperatures. Now, since I explained that to you, what a normal uh, season is, I want to explain to you what we're having this year. And this is why I'm calling it a year without winter. We have um, we have just got our first dip at freezing in January. That's correct. We've been having um, October, November, December. We've been in the 50s and even in the 60s. Then finally, I want to say it was 2 weeks after the New Year, we got our first week of getting in the 30-degree temperature range, and this is the high I'm talking about. Getting in the highs, and it wasn't consistent. We got 1 or 2 days in the 30s, then it popped back up in the 50s, and it was in the 50s for 4 or 5 days, and then it went back down to 40s, then it popped up to the 50s. So far in January, we have had one ice storm and one snowstorm, and so we had, in each instance has been the same. The night, because it's cold, because it was in the 20s during that time, it was freezing rain one time. By the afternoon, it was 50 something degrees and it was all gone. Same thing when we had the snow instance. We had a snowstorm. Actually, this was just in the morning because it was just at freezing at this time. And by the afternoon, we got 3 inches of snow. I went out there and measured. I was like, wow, we got our first snow. By the afternoon, because the temperatures in the afternoons were going to be 50 degrees, 3 inches of snow was gone. And I've never seen that in the January, February timeframe. Like I said, it's normally you get it. You're lucky to get above freezing for anything to melt, and it'll stay there for weeks. Whether you get 3 inches of snow, however you get, or how much you get, it'll stay there until like March, because March you'll start getting above the freezing temperatures. Most of the time, you are lucky to get the highs now above freezing. This year has been, like I said, it's been very crazy. It's the only 2 instances where we had any kind of what you want to call winter weather, and I can't really say that because we've only had a total of 5 days in January where we got into the 30s as the high. Every single time we have been in the 50s, mid to low 50s, high 40s. We have had rain. I have never, I'm not even just talking West Virginia here too. When I was in Maryland kind of follows the same temperature, normal, but it's just a little bit higher, a few degrees where I lived. So when I lived in Maryland, if we had anything, same thing. We'd have snow January, February, not as much snow as here in West Virginia because you have more mountains that protects the eastern part of Maryland. Unless you get a nor'easter, that's a different story. But I have never in my life had rain in January, and now even this month we're having rain. So far this month, even in 9 days, we have not gone below as the high of about 45 degrees. Last week we had 3 days of rain. This is unheard of. Even in January, the end of the month, we got precipitation again, but it was all rain because it was so warm. Excuse me. And so far, this week again, we're supposed to have rain Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're going to have highs of 55 tomorrow. Today we actually have 45. 55 tomorrow. I think like 51 Tuesday, 50 Wednesday, and then I think it's like 47 on Thursday. I try not to go out too far because predicting the next day's weather is bad enough, let alone trying to figure out an entire week. But we're having rain again. So if you're ever interested in a video, look back in an 1816. There was a year, I think it was up in the Vermont area, where they had a year without a summer. They actually got snow. They had 0 degrees weather. This seems like it's the flip, the opposite side of the spectrum, where we're not getting a winter at all. So I can imagine how our summers are going to be because we're not getting any kind of winter weather. My wife and I both have allergies, and that's why you're hearing me kind of sniffling, because when the temperatures get up to about 50 degrees, my allergies start kicking in. My wife has year-round allergies, so that doesn't matter because she'll have it during the winter and summer. But it's not as bad during the winter as it is during the summer, of course. But with these temperatures jumping up and down, it's affected my allergies because I have like the pre-seasonal allergies where when we start getting into that summer mode, when temperatures start going up during that 50, 60 degree weather time, my allergies kick in. And then when we start towards the end of the year, the fall time, when we go down from 60 to 40, they kick in again. But during that high time, during its 70s, 80s, and 90s, that doesn't bother me as much. It's just the pre and post summer times that bother me. But it's been driving me haywire because of the constant fluctuation in temperatures, the highs. So I know there's other states because I've seen it. I think like Colorado, they've had a lot of snow, but I would say that's kind of normal for them. I guess depending on what part of Colorado, because I know there's one part that doesn't get as much, but like the ski resorts area does get a lot of snow. I've seen where there's been cold weather in the south, like down in Florida. But this is a really big anomaly, and that is why I'm calling it a year without a summer. Now, do I jump on board of the global warming concept? No, I do not, because for this to be a global warming event, this would have to be consistent throughout the years. This is a one-time event, and it has been proven statistically that the Earth's temperature has only gone up 1 degree in 100 years. That's right, 1 degree in 100 years. So don't believe all the politics that are involved with global warming. If you want to do something for the Earth, fine, that's up to you. And if you believe it, it's up to you. But I truly do not believe it one bit, because I could tell you the complete opposite story last year. If you were watching my channel, I showed you the big snowstorms we got, or I think we got one or two of them. But we had snow, a normal winter. We had snow, and we had really cold temperatures last year. There's quite a few times that we were in the negatives, and for like all of January at night. I'm talking about the lows. But the highs, there was quite a few times we were just in the teens for weeks. I mean, several weeks. And the lows were in the negative at night, which, that's a concerning thing, because then you have to worry about pipes freezing and other things as well. But if you have any questions, comments, or if you want to tell me what kind of weather you're having at your location, leave them down in the comments section. If you like this video, click the like button. Or if you wish to receive future content such as this or any other content, please click the subscribe button. And as always, thank you very much for taking your time to watch this video. Have a wonderful day.